All right, let's jump right in. Something really big is happening right now in the world of digital payments. I mean, we're talking about a shift that's just as fundamental, just as massive as when the internet completely changed how we access information. Well, now it's money's turn to catch up.
And this quote right here, it really nails it. This is the key to understanding everything that's unfolding. You see all the crazy headlines about crypto prices going up and down, but the real revolution, the change that's going to stick, is happening underneath it all, on the actual rails that move money around the world.
Okay, so here's the bottom line, the big takeaway. We are living through what you could call the WhatsApp moment for money. Do you remember when sending a text overseas was clunky, slow, and cost what, 30 cents a pop? And then boom, WhatsApp comes along and makes it instant, global, and basically free. Well, that's exactly what stablecoins are doing for payments. We're going from this old, slow system with like 3% fees to something that's practically instant, works anywhere in the world, and costs next to nothing. That is the game changer right there.
Now, I know that sounds like a huge claim, right? But this isn't just some theory or a cool idea. The proof is in the numbers, and they show this is already a massive, massive movement. Okay, get ready for this number, $12 trillion. So, what on earth is that? Well, that's how much value moved across stablecoins in just the last year. And that's after they've cleaned up the data to remove any weird artificial stuff. It is just a mind-boggling amount of money, and it proves this isn't some tiny niche experiment anymore. This is happening at a massive scale.
And to put that number into perspective, which is what's so wild about this slide, that $12 trillion is already getting into the same ballpark as the $17 trillion processed by Visa. Visa, a company that's been the absolute bedrock of global payments for decades. So yeah, this isn't some future thing. It's happening right now at a global scale. So we've talked about the enormous scale, this $12 trillion shift. But what does that actually mean in the real world? How does all that volume actually help real businesses today?
Well, the uses are super practical. Take a payments giant like Stripe. They're now using stablecoins to cut processing fees for their merchants, sometimes by half. Just think about what that means for a small business owner. They get to keep more of their own money from every sale. Or you've got companies like SpaceX using them to move money where the local banking system might be a little shaky. And for any company with a global team, this is huge. You can pay your people instantly. No more waiting days for banks to clear a payment. It's all paving the way for a future where AIs can just transact with each other directly.
So you might be wondering, how did all this happen so fast? It's not just about the tech being cool. This kind of explosive growth happens when the technology finally starts to line up with smart, clear policy.
And really, it comes down to two key policy moves. First, there was the Genius Act. It basically laid out clear rules of the road for stablecoins in the United States, giving the whole industry the certainty it needed to grow. And now, the proposed Clarity Act is trying to do the same thing for the blockchains they run on, giving them a clear path to scale up. Think of it like this. These acts are creating a stable, level playing field where all this innovation can actually happen safely.
But there's a really fascinating side effect to all this that I don't think many people are talking about. Since most of these stablecoins are tied to the US dollar, every time they grow, it creates this huge new demand for US debt. In fact, the companies that issue stablecoins, like Circle and Tether, are now some of the biggest holders of US debt in the world. So it's actually strengthening the dollar's role on the global stage. Pretty wild, right?
And that really brings us to the big picture here. Because this was never just about making payments a little bit cheaper or a little bit faster. This is about building the foundation for a whole new kind of financial system. This slide really lays out that grand vision perfectly. See, the internet gave us borderless information. Now, stablecoins are giving us borderless value. That's the first step. And once you have that, you can build the next layer, which is AI-powered commerce. And those two things together, they become the pillars of a totally new, more open, global financial system.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. The biggest shift here, the core idea, is that money isn't just a thing anymore. It's becoming software. It can be programmed. And that leads to the most exciting question of all. If money is now just a dynamic piece of code that we can build with, what incredible things are we going to build next?